Hi, good morning. Today's actually the day after the workshop of the Seeds of Practice. And I, not a lot of you were able to make it yesterday. We had a nice small handful, but I'm treating that as the practice round and going to offer up once again a workshop today. So I'm recording and yeah, I think it's going to have more clarity because it's a second time around. This is actually the first workshop via Zoom that, and with recording it, that I've done really. And, since the pandemic, things have really changed a lot, and the adjustment and the learning curve is big. So here I am again, practicing, engaging in this way. So I find it kind of interesting because now I am imagining you here, and it's like a conundrum, kind of like the tree in the forest. If it falls, does it make a sound if there's no one there to hear it? And so I'm imagining you're here because you are here if you are hearing me and we're engaging. So an interesting time-space experiment. I want to begin here. The format will be I'll be talking a little bit, and then I'm going to offer up a practice. And I might share the practice that we did yesterday, if I can figure that out. But perhaps it will be a different one. And the talk is going to be about the history, a little bit of the history of what I've been able to study and retain and embed in me. And then the movement of, understanding Qigong from the most simple, basic sort of root of it to all the way to the practice. So, and Casper's here with us. So the history, for me, the most impactful thing I read was that Qigong is prehistoric in the sense that these movements were a way of connecting to nature and moving and becoming aligned with nature through witnessing how animals move, how the wind moves, how nature flows in different ways, in all the particular ways that are born out of the one. Also sound, that sound is the first medicine and prehistoric as well. Blowing the sound of over a wound, say, there were, that is in the history of this practice. And of course, it's from the East and China. Buddhism affected, it's all mixed in that realm or area on the planet. And it's Taoism. So Taoism is the way, the art of living, which brings us to that Lao Tzu, who that means old baby or old boy, and I think it's exemplifying that innocence and that wisdom that is the true teacher. And with that, so where was I? This is my communication skills on the recording. Where was I taking that? Oh, so 2,500 years ago, a book, the Tao Te Ching, was written by Lao Tzu, old baby. And there's an interpretation by Stephen Mitchell, and this is the book. It's a small little one handheld book. And it is basically the art of living and the study of how the nature is. I highly recommend you get this book and this translation. It's beautiful. I thought I would read the first or maybe the second. Let's see, which one is it? Well, I can just read this one right here. They're all beautiful threads. So when we listen, it's helpful to empty that heart and listen with the heart, create space to receive what is being given through this audible expression. So, the Tao is like a well. used but never used up. It is like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. It is hidden but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it. It is older than God. It's, nature is older than our naming. So as we move through this, so that this is some of the history, and yeah, as it moved, martial arts this is a martial art, an inner martial art, as it's called, the inner styles like Tai Chi, Qigong, Bagua. There's also the forms of like Kung Fu, which is outer martial arts, and skill with, moving in harmony, harmoniously. Okay, so lastly, I didn't say there's a quote here in this book I was reading called Qigong, and I can put that in the notes. But Qigong is the art and science of energy, the stuff with which the infinite, infinitesimal particle to the infinite galaxy are made of. So this energy that's everything. Everything is Qi. Qi is everything. So now we move on, moving into the roots of it, the how we conceptualize it, how we work with that, this nature, and bring it into our own thoughts, words, and actions. And the most basic is the yin yang. He's upon my, he really wants to be a part of this. So yin yang, that the Wuji is, and I'm saying all of the Chinese words, Mandarin incorrectly, but to my best attempt, the Wuji, like we take Wuji posture at the very beginning of the practice, and we stand, and it's like our feet are standing on that circle of the yin yang symbol, and then there's the swirl, or the S shape, the spiral in there, if it was like three-dimensional. And that's right at the center of our sort of drop from the point at the crown of the head, called the point of 1,000 meetings, or 1,000 generals. And then at the root, the earthly door, Casper stop, at the pelvic floor, yin energy rising up, yang energy coming down. And it's the dance of the opposites, this formation of which is unformable, comes at a cost of the paradox. So we have yin yang, and then we also are focused on the three realms. So the three realms can be expressed in there's many metaphors. The body, the physical body, and the jing. The jing is the word for qi in the bodily form, like bodily fluids. Sperm is jing. Then we have qi, which is the energy of, like, the dynamic energy of relationship, whether it's relationship of like how the seasons are working in relationship, and all the elements within the seasons are working in relationship, or how we are emotionally. And then we have the third eye, because this is also connected, and there's links or sort of that transparency over Hindu mythology, or Hinduism, yoga, the Vedas. So that third eye and the third arm of the mind. But in the Chinese thought and Taoist thought, the mind resides in the lotus of the heart, and also in the other thought, Buddhism, and in yoga. So we also, the triple heater is another way of seeing those three realms. So we have like body, emotion, mind, or thought, intellect. We have, what else? Well, we've got the dantians, the three dantians, and we have the chakras, creative force, heart, and spirit. So we're connecting these: earth, humanity, heavens. And humanity is a word that's not really, doesn't really contain what I'm attempting to say, because all living beings exist in that humanity, equal. We also have the 5 elements. So we're moving from, you know, the 1 to the 2, the yin yang, to the 3 realms. And then we have the 5 elements, which are connected to the organs. And we've got the kidneys, which are connected to the element of water. And there's always a yin yang. So the yin organs are the solid organs, and the yang organs are the bag organs. And they work together to receive what is nourishing and to let go of that which is not of use anymore, or, you know, it has become toxic in some way. And I always preface that, you know, the word toxic as something not always bad, not toxic to everything, but as I exhale, the plants appreciate my toxic chi and absorb it as I receive their toxic chi, or that oxygen. So back to the 5 elements, we've got kidney, bladder, and those are the yin yang organs, and the element of water. And you can do your own investigations and studies to go, because it goes on and on and on about like the color, which is a deep, deep, dark blue. Traditionally, I also support and encourage, you know, to notice when we do imagine blue coming into us, what color, what hue or texture it has, in a sense. Water blue, kidney, bladder. There's an emotion with that. And I've heard different things, but like fear is definitely an aspect that sits in our kidneys. Courage can be seen as the opposing force, or the transformative, beneficial force. Fear helps us be courageous. They definitely create each other. Well, water feeds wood, so we move into the liver. And the liver, which like purifies our blood and works with our blood, is paired with the gallbladder, which kind of sits inside of this huge organ inside of us that is a regenerative organ. You know, you can take a piece of it and it can regenerate, which is pretty incredible. The liver has a lot to do with passion and anger, but we can utilize anger to motivate action and have intention and vision. And all of those things are bonded with the liver, the wood element, that pushing up energy, or that forcefulness of like desire to move and go towards that which is nourishing. What else do we have here? The color is green. It can be a deep, deep green, especially being in the Pacific Northwest. There's just so many, there's a rainbow of green. So we want to acknowledge that. I wanted to mention that it's helpful to see them, all these organs, as gems. So the kidneys are blue sapphires, and the liver is connected to green emeralds. And wood feeds fire. Wood supports fire in its manifestation. Fire is connected to the heart, and the heart has actually a few opposing organs. The heart needs support because it's like right at the center. It is the sacred center of this kingdom of our body, and they say the empress or the emperor resides there and needs protection. So we have the pericardium. We also have the I think it's the small intestine. And so we have the pericardium. The triple heater is also connected to, it's not a bag organ, but it holds fire. Perhaps that's more, we can investigate that a little bit more in the future. So that is the color is red, and we can think of rubies. Here in the heart, the emotional component has to do with when we open our heart, when this vulnerable space opens and connects, sometimes if it's like imbalanced, it can feel like longing or grief or like wishing for something, longing, clinging is what I was thinking of. This not feeling centered and whole and complete in of yourselves. But then paired with that is this generosity. When we know that we have enough, when we recognize that we have enough, we can just be magnanimous with our energy. When we feel safe, we can be magnanimous with our energy. So beautiful place to reside in the heart when we feel safe, when that protection is established. Which I wanted to mention about the Wei Qi, which is sort of our auric field of protection. And Wei Qi is connected to the stomach spleen, which we move into next. The spleen is the next organ, which is the element of earth. Fire feeds earth. And in that, we have the stomach to pair. The bag organ is the stomach. The color is gold, so golden topaz, golden topaz. And I think I learned that topaz was golden after I connected the spleen with the golden. So golden topaz, and the emotion that's linked with the spleen. Oh yeah, I was talking about Wei Qi. The Wei Qi field is our boundary, our protection. It helps establish our immunity and our health. And then the emotion is when we feel we worry, when we worry about something, it's in the future, we're spinning around something that doesn't exist yet. So we create disruption in the present moment because we're not being present. So the antidote or the pairing with that is just to recognize that all is well. And that's not to say that all is well in every place, but in this place where I am now, all is well. And I know that because I can take a deep breath. And that always helps me arrive. And it might even help you arrive. The suggestion of just me doing it is a suggestion. And then I can audibly suggest, let's take a couple more breaths together. Deep inhale. Long exhale. A humph is useful. Even crying is something. In our workshop yesterday, we talked of that release and movement of energy can come in laughter and tears. Okay, one more breath. And we land here in this place on the earth, and moving from the stomach and the spleen towards the earth feeds the heavy, like the metals and the gems in the earth. So we think of metal energy in Chinese medicine and Taoist thought. There's the 5 elements are water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. And metal is connected to the lungs. The lungs are not the bag organ, even though sometimes we might picture them as such, but they are the solid organ that absorbs and takes in this life force that's feeding us literally every moment. If we stop breathing, we stop living. So life is in our breath. Big breath again. And in the connection with that is the large intestine, which is where everything's moving out on the way out. And that's what the lungs are all about, is letting grief go, releasing, expressing, what we let go of. And the beauty and paradox there is that what we let go of is what we give. So when we give, if we thought of it that way, what we gave, hopefully, I would think that it wouldn't be garbage and plastics and things that can't be used in this beautiful, holistic system of nature. So I digress a little bit, but that letting go and that grieving and that giving and that releasing actually opens us up and empties us to all possibilities and all connection and a beautiful inspiration, a beautiful breath in. Yeah. So I had a beautiful conversation with my aunt who was here yesterday afterwards, just about that. When we imagined ourselves in a place in nature, and it takes us to a place that can be very deeply meaningful to us. But if we're remembering it, it's in the past, and that can bring great heartache or a sense of sorrow. But the beauty of that is that that sorrow that we feel for the loss of it is how deeply we love it. Mhm. So, yes. So did we get through all five elements? We did. We talked about the three realms, the yin yang and history. And now we're going to talk about the process of the practice. And this is from one of my teachers that I study with, not in person. I haven't met her yet. She's from in Canada, Stephanie Nosko, a wonderful, amazing teacher. And she's about to have a book out. And you can follow her on Instagram, take her classes. And she is a medical Qigong practitioner. And this is where, you really pay attention to the organs and how this is helping our health. And all of Qigong practice is about longevity and vitality and kind of preserving and conserving and wisely utilizing the energy that's given to us freely. Yes, and also opening up to being a vessel for that. That it's not about us just using it the way we want to use it, but to get aligned so that we are a vehicle for this life-giving energy to express itself in all the beautiful diversity that we see in nature. The process of medical Qigong is first we open up to it. So we open up by opening up all our joints, because we have these meridians, these channels that run through us. And, there's points too. We want to pay attention to the meridians and all the points, like acupuncture. And I'm going to share a page from YouTube that I'd love to look at that helps me understand where the points are on the body. And where was I? So we open up all the channels, and the gateways, and the gateways are usually held in the joints. That's why we feel like stagnant chi collects in the joints, and we feel arthritis or stiffness, or it's sensitive there. So we open those up. We also can shake up our cells and shake up our body and kind of dislodge any stuck chi, any residue. How do you see this in metaphor? Moving, opening, getting things flowing. Then we purge. We use our hands and our visualization, our imagination, and our breath to start cleansing those channels and kind of flushing them out. And then we bring in energy and we regulate it and we tonify it and we strengthen it and exercise it in a sense. And here's a point of like, when we exercise, when I say that word, in the West, we think of like, sweating or really pushing ourselves and all. But in the practice of Qigong, we practice at 2/3 full. We always keep a reserve, a third of a reserve, for our just being at alert rest, present and connected. So we go 2/3, and we also think about practicing as if, I don't know, how do I say this? Like 10 years ahead. So I'm kind of imagining myself when I practice being 65 rather than 55. And I think that's interesting. It's kind of like the time space thing we're doing here with Zoom and recording. But I'm bringing my 55-year-old self into my 65-year-old self, and I am imagining that rather than thinking of the other direction. So, oop, Casper. So we purge, and then we tonify, and gather, regulate, and then we hold on one second. What should I do? I should pause 1 second. Okay. Thank you. Intermission moment. Where was I? So yes, we move into kind of bringing it all into balance and bringing it in. But this is called the microcosmic orbit, which is also, since it's microcosmic, and there's a macrocosmic, and we are connecting. We're aligning ourselves so that we can align the universe or support that alignment in the universe. Yeah, and then we kind of pack in, we can polish the chi or pack it in and kind of be ready to be that vessel that shines spirit and life to the world. I did the narrative method this morning. It's a writing group that I belong to, and you should come. And there was an interviewer that we were listening to, and she mentioned about how it is an act of rebellion to love your life and to love life. And I very much believe that without losing and closing our eyes and our hearts to what's actually happening around us, but to be that vehicle and that expression of what we want to see in the world. And that doesn't mean it's all, peaches and cream or however, oat cream. But it's being a whole person and seeing that, a whole person is in every living being. Yeah. Okay. I think that we are ready to move on to the practice itself. So let us stand up and come into position.